Welcome back, everybody, to our coverage here for MCM London Comic Con 2014. It's May.
Yep.
May. It doesn't seem that long since it was last October where we were last in this venue.
That is true.
Feels really recently.
I lose track of time quite a lot, though. I just kind of assume that was normal for me and not for anybody else.
True, but I think we are ready to go. We'll get everybody in because we're heading into game number 2 for this best of 3 in the winners bracket finals. The teams have the ready in the game. So we are into picks and bans here for game number 2. It is Tick, Trick, and Duck who have a 1-0 lead so far, going up against Mistakes Were Made. So we'll see whether we see any bans. Are we going to see a Jax ban? Are we going to see a Cassidin ban?
Probably not.
Are we going to see a Nidalee ban?
We are going to see that. I expect, honestly, right now, they're going to be playing the same bans they did last game.
Yeah, I kind of probably think that's the case too.
Yeah, very much so, because obviously they won the last game, and letting through the Jax didn't really seem to hurt, obviously because they got the solo lane.
Yeah, I wasn't too keen on the bait and switch that they did with the Jax.
Too much.
It's a risky play that I kind of feel like it just hurts your team quite a lot. If it doesn't go perfect.
Yeah.
Because if it goes well, then that Jax just carries the game.
Yeah. I mean, like, Shyvana normally is a really, really good late game team fighter herself, and then you also get yourself a Jax that gets through the game, gets Feral Flare and Blade of the Ruined King, gets to be huge, gets so much damage. But
interesting. Okay, we have 2 different bans this time around. So Eve not getting through. Ooh, and that lets Ziggs through, and that is going to be what they're going to take away from Tick, Trick, and Duck.
And that would be definitely to keep that out of the hands of Snow, who would have most certainly played that, but there are a lot of potential laners that you can run against Ziggs. Cassidin.
Yeah, Cassidin is available. I kind of feel like he's going to get punished early by Ziggs, but then
he's Cassidin.
Late game, Cassidin is Cassidin. So it's one of those kind of play style. Do you want to pick that against, or do you want to pick something a little more consistent? Yeah. And what do you want in your other solo lane? It's going to be a Shyvana and an Elise. So a lot less ambiguous this time.
Yeah, if they do pick Cassidin, I'm not expecting it till the last couple of picks, because that way you'll be able to kind of visualize it in the full context of the game. Because sometimes if you pick Cassidin, he loses his lane. If your other lanes are likely to lose anyway, then you're in real trouble. If not, of course, you'll be very, very happy. And Elise, Shyvana is just super generalist. It gives them very strong 2v1s, gives them very strong 2v2s and 1v1s. It's just generalist, but very powerful.
Lee Sin was banned in the last game and is going to get picked up here. Instinctive is looking at maybe Thresh for Yarrow as well. So, those would be 2 very consistent picks, and the first 3 out from Mistakes Were Made would be very, very solid picks. You look at the Ziggs, Lee Sin, Thresh, but there are still a lot of options still available. So I wonder whether we'll see any kind of change-ups. It's about to expire, and they're going to get locked in.
Yeah, they don't have to pick themselves the Lee Sin here, because they know what their opponent jungler already is.
Yeah.
Which means they're basically thinking, well, what do we want to counter their opponents? They're going to be seeing a lot of Tick, Trick, and Duck's hand now. So essentially, we'll be looking to see the AD carry pick up here.
I wonder what they're going to go with, because we've talked about the priority AD carries right now.
Ooh. Does he play it?
Okay, so similarly to Yasuo against Nidalee, Yasuo against Ziggs, you can block a lot of the damage. It's not quite as,
No, it's not quite as one-sided.
Yeah.
And especially in the super early game, like level 1, 2, 3, 4, Ziggs wins the matchup generally, but not very hard. And after that point, Yasuo suddenly starts dashing around, obviously dodging lots of skill shots, and has the wind wall to block most of your damage, and has huge all-in potential on you. And with an aggressive jungler like Elise, that's even more scary.
We're looking for AD carry in top here. I would not be surprised to see Graves and Trundle locked in. Trundle up against Shyvana is typically the pick that Trundle was brought back for. Odo Amne from Cloud9 Eclipse was like, oh, Trundle actually does really well against Shyvana. That was actually all the way back in January that started coming back in. That's how long ago that was. So we've been seeing... No, I'm not lying, because I casted it. I casted the first game that we saw Odo Amne on Trundle.
I actually saw it in a scrim
Yeah?
beforehand.
Wow, okay, look
Yeah.
at this guy.
And I was like, what's they picking Trundle
Privy
for?
knowledge,
He's
wow.
terrible. And then it turned out he wasn't terrible. He was actually very, very strong.
Ooh, Corki. Are we in Season 2?
So they're getting a lot of mixed damage because they know they're running the Yasuo and they know that they're going to be running Shyvana in the top. So that puts them on quite a heavy emphasis towards physical damage. But because they're getting Corki, who's mixed, and because they're getting Elise, who is magic damage, that means they've actually ended up with a reasonably balanced composition. And even Zyra is, like, you can build full tank Zyra and still do quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking, because the only time these days, well, I say these days, the only time you see Corki really is around Worlds time, when he gets that mysterious, like, strength at Worlds, and then everybody plays Corki for, like, 2 or 3.
Shows up.
Yeah, and then just goes again, so... But Corki Graves feels like Season 2 again. I'm gonna make that observation quite
It's a
a
skill
lot.
shot now.
Yeah.
Things have changed. You can't just walk up to them, auto attack, Q trade, and always hit.
True.
Unlike Graves, who will always hit if you're in range.
And if you actually hit.
Well, like, it's pretty hard to miss with
I'm
buckshot.
just saying, it's not
Thing
like
is big.
It's not like pointing,
Pretty much is.
on select.
Because if you're in range to auto attack them, unless he's going to like Valkyrie out at the exact instant,
Yeah, that's one of the things in Corki's kit.
he could.
It's possible.
Hypothetically.
Never underestimate a Corki.
And it's not like Corki has any particularly hidden tricks.
Have you seen the flip he does? Like the figure of 8?
Well, in his joke.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool trick.
It is a trick.
It's pretty... I don't have a plane that can do like a figure of 8, like...
Really?
No.
Oh, you must be poor.
Well, Well...
So anyway...
I ain't got nothing on that one.
So
Oh,
anyway,
dear.
yeah, but they have obviously got themselves. So yeah, the reason Corki is actually being played basically not at all in Europe, not at all in NA, but he does get picked a bit in Korea actually at the moment, and it's basically for this exact reason, because he brings some magic damage, some hybrid damage. Otherwise, he's just a very all-around AD carry. The other option for that is Misfortune. Actually, recently has been being picked up more and more since her Impure Shots now procs on the ultimate. The thing about that though is it's basically team fights or bust. She is not a good champion in any other circumstance, even though she is very good in that one circumstance. So in this situation where you have your Elise, even though you got a very strong team fight, they just didn't feel like that was necessary. And obviously, it does also give them a safer lane.
I'm glad we got to a resolution on the Corki thing and didn't focus on his plane. But nevertheless, I mean, we're getting closer and closer to a resolution on this best of 3. Because we're going into game 2. And if Tick, Trick, and Duck win this, they're in the grand finals.
Yeah.
It's as simple as it is.
And if they don't, we might run out of time in the hall.
Well, let's hope that doesn't happen. But, I mean the time. I want 3 games.
I wouldn't mind it.
I want 3 games. That's all I'm saying. I'm just a sucker for good League of Legends. So,
yeah.
I want the best games we can have. And do you know what? I'm feeling a little bit better about this game. I think it'll be a bit faster paced. We've got a lot more of those mid-game picks that you look at. You look at like a Graves, you look at a Lee Sin, you look at a Yasuo. They're all very mid-game fight-oriented kind of champions.
TTD does have a good reason to be running 2 versus 1 or 4 versus 0 this game, though.
Right.
Zyra is decent against Thresh. There is no denying. Decent against Graves. And, their 2v2 would work decently well overall. But Shyvana does better than Trundle in a 2-on-1. Does better in pushing with the team as well. And they have probably the best 2v1 jungler here. So if they go for an early invade, get a couple of deep wards, they can force the 2v1 very, very easily. Yes, they might lose some dragon control, but I think they would think that would be worth it. Since they would push so much faster, they would get quite a big edge.
Yeah, and we are about to load into game. This is the moment. Okay, cool.
It didn't crash.
Whew, that was touch and go for a second there.
I'm wondering if I'll get the black screen thing again.
Yeah. Did you have that in the last game?
Nope,
No, you didn't.
didn't happen.
Okay, good. So hopefully that doesn't happen again. That's
we live in hope.
an interesting.
But we
bug.
expect the worst.
But
Otherwise, we're
good.
disappointed.
Traditional Trundle. Now, that is going to be difficult
choice.
not to get the names wrong.
I don't like traditional Trundle.
I still like the old little slugger Trundle.
That's fine. Like they changed around his effects, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
I started playing Trundle a little bit like a while back for some random reason. I think Crumbs was playing it
Because he takes no
out
skill.
of the jungle. Wow.
That's why I play
That probably makes sense. That's
That is
probably
literally
why
why I play Trundle top lane.
Probably why I play Nocturne in the jungle as well, actually.
It's literally just put
Pointing,
all your
yeah.
things on the enemy
Just
and
go.
run at them.
One line, just
Yeah.
go. Anyway, speaking of
Exert
going,
map
let's
pressure.
just go into game.
Just means you get to be a smart player rather than a good mechanics player. But
Do you know what? That's what Impaler says all the time. He's like, not the best mechanically. Just going to use my decision making to my advantage.
it's a very good way of going about things if
At
you
least-
have bad mechanics.
At least he says that so that nobody else has to tell him.
Well, I know. I don't think Impaler. This is the thing though. When you like.
It's okay. Again, good. We're all good friends in the UK scene. That's
yeah.
one thing to note.
The-
Before anybody
actually,
thinks we're just flaming.
In fairness, I did. Okay, so context. That guy just said you saw that Yeti. I did see a Yeti in the background, and I will admit, I was sort of staring off over that way for a bit, like maybe 10 seconds. Like, wow, there's a Yeti. It was massive.
Was it a Yeti or was it
30 seconds
Wampa
until ring
from Star
swing.
Wars?
Could be.
I think it might.
I think those are pretty much the same thing. One of them's just in Star Wars.
But Snow is in trouble. Well, let's focus again on the game. We, it's getting later in the day, but
Yeah.
focus clearly on our winners bracket finals here. Best of 3. It is game number 2. Tick, Trick, and Duck lead by 1 game, and this could put them through to the grand finals.
Yes, and they've gotten their deep ward here. They can see where Lasagna is right at this moment. That means if they wanted a 2-on-1, they could force it. Doesn't look like they intend to do that. Right now, they're keeping their bot lane, a duo in the bot lane. And it looks like they will be going for straight matchups. Elise, of course, a lot more unpredictable. And Lasagna is not really going to be achieving very much.
I was kind of thinking, as we were going through Champion Select, that it was surprising we didn't see Twitch. Because while Elise has Cocoon, and it is good at locking a champion down for a pretty small duration after it got adjusted, they don't have that massive crowd control that really Twitch suffered with at the point at which they could have picked Twitch. So just kind of interesting they decided not to go for it.
It's definitely true. Twitch is a very strong champion, and he is just not being picked by these teams, any of the teams. And I've
Yeah.
got to say, I just genuinely think it's probably they haven't practiced it. It's a very recent, accompaniment in the meta, and very, very strong, but only if you're practiced with it individually and practiced with it as a team. It forces your hand into playing picks, basically.
Yeah, very true. It's very similar to the resurgence of Cogmore that we've seen. Is that if you don't protect him, he is very, very difficult to actually survive on mid lane. A lot of damage going down onto Snow. He will have that shield charged back up very shortly, but look at how low he is already.
Yeah. Could say. Levels 1, 2, 3, 4. Can be very difficult times. He's got Wind Wall now. The ex-Alchemist has more than enough mana to not merely bully him out of the lane, but kill him.
I think he would if he had Ignite. He's actually running heal.
Still got enough mana in, like, just keep poking style. Like, if
Right.
he just keeps throwing out bombs and Yasuo keeps taking them, he'll be forced out of lane.
Oh, Lasagna is losing this trade
Oh,
out
dear.
to I Nightmare. Flash comes around.
Oh, that heal!
Oh, the heal though. Is it enough? Snow came over the corner as well. Used his flash, didn't get the kill for it.
I want to say that Lasagna wasn't ready for that.
Oh man, flame
that
backwards.
rope.
Very nice positioning. Ignite comes down. Looked like that was Yero's Ignite. And now Nightmare dropping low as well. Can Yero survive here? I Nightmare getting dropped very, very low.
Yeah, indeed, and that has meant they just got a big edge for themselves there, because of course it's not the best matchup in the super early game, but if you give them 2 kills and double buffs, then you get a very scary Ziggs very, very quickly, and it means his auto attacks as well are now a big enough threat that Yasuo will feel the need to wind wall them out.
So 2-for-1 overall in favor of mistakes were made. Gives them a slight gold advantage right now. Let's see how they can compound that. That was a good roam out by Yarrow to
Really
keep
good.
themselves on top of things. Very, very necessary roam.
Yeah, he was. I mean, as far as Tick, Trick, and Duck were concerned, they probably should have reported that, but that's not a play you see, like, ever. It was a fight that was dragging on quite a long time, so they could so it was understandable that Yarrow could see it happening. He didn't, like, predict anything and just walk on down there, but even so, it was quick reactions, and it was a smart reaction.
I thought that may have hit.
Plants.
Kind of weaved its way, but then that last plant just got in the way.
It's one of the reasons she's good against Thresh.
Yeah, indeed.
If you're quick about it, you can actually seed and plant in the time it takes for the wind up on the hook.
That would be pretty skillful to see that.
Nah, it's not skillful. I can do it.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess, yeah. That would pretty much rule that out as skillful then.
Diamond players.
Oh dear. Diamond players indeed. But, you know, TTD have themselves that lead in the bottom lane. About 10 CS is a good foundation for that bottom lane right now, for that Zyra and Gorky. I think that was what you were talking about. But will this gank from Lasagna set up good attempt?
Oh!
Hook does land onto Bonaparte. Safeguard was used instead of the Lantern in. Bonaparte getting dropped pretty low
Elise
here.
is coming.
Oh, here comes the counter gank out of Elise. Nightmare.
Oh my god.
That's a big phosphorus bomb from Sunny. Will take down the kill. And that backfires a little bit on mistakes were made.
Yeah, they actually got a really good engage, and yet because they were already so low, and because there were so many minions to chase through, even though they got the hook that followed through, even though they forced Zyra, into their team, they just didn't have the damage, and they ended up getting counter-ganked, of course, because Elise was heading down there anyway. And that now means, of course, Sunny is going to be a long way ahead in this lane.
Yeah, he's now 20 CS up, and with the kill, he's now putting damage on the turret as well. Bottom lane is going so well right now for Tick, Trick, and Duck.
Big XP advantage, big gold advantage. I mean, well, this mid lane is probably not going the way they would have hoped. But Yasuo is getting far.
Yeah.
He's falling down on health. He's getting forced out of lane. But DX Alchemist has been so focused on poking him out, he's actually struggling to get the farm.
And this is a situation where TTD actually have really good synergy with Yasuo as well. You look at their team composition, Dragon's Descent, great for working alongside Yasuo. Stranglethorns, even better. You're looking for, 1 or 2 targets maybe, and you can get a massive ultimate from that.
Yeah, really strong team fighting potential from them. Does obviously require them all to be in one place, but they can function very well in skirmish fights as well with just their solo laners. Nero did just try for a hook, couldn't quite land it, and Lasagna pushing up the mid lane, taking advantage of how weak Snow is. That's actually quite smart. He forces them into tower, he forces Elise to show where she is on the map as well.
Yeah, indeed. Wind Wall is going to be used every so often though. It's going to allow them to keep the tower up a little bit longer, deny a lot of the damage, but just timed out the ultimate from Alchemist. And that is that wind wall timing out, and that little bit of damage coming through.
Can you even wind wall it?
No, it was the bouncing bomb came through the wind wall, put him low enough for the ult.
Yeah, indeed. That is really quite bad for Snow there. And he picked into this matchup, which is interesting decision making in my view. And a hook did just land a bot.
Did indeed, and Sunny is taking bits of damage here and there, and actually the damage is going to turn around. Shoot Up takes a turret shot. Sunny repositions closer to the fight, and the flay comes out from Yarrow, but here comes Lasagna for the kick and the kill.
He literally just walked into lane, ulted, and then walked away with a kill. He's not going to be too upset with that. Yarrow is, I think, really a classic bloodthirsty support, though.
Yeah.
I mean, you obviously, in your time with Dig UK, did manage him. Like, he's always struck me from casting him as just being a seriously aggressive player. Sometimes does get caught out on the map, though.
Yeah. Sometimes late game warding here and there.
It's that thing where you're like, I'm going to ward now.
But to be honest, when it's like, do you want to win the laning phase? Like pretty much every game from being aggressive.
He's good.
That's kind of one of his strengths. Unfortunately, this game, it hasn't been working out as well as you may expect, because you look at the difference in CS, the difference in kills, Yarrow is doing well for himself. He's 1-0-3. But as for that bottom lane as a whole, hasn't been working out for the duo.
Yeah, well, Chewed Up got poked down very, very early.
Yeah.
While Thresh was, in fact, roaming, in fairness, the roam was still worth it. And Chewed Up arguably should have just sat almost out of minion range and just allowed that to happen. But that is what cost them a lot of their health. That's what enabled the counter gank to work so effectively. That is what has enabled them to be pushed back for so long, and it has cost them a lot as a result.
Rooted at the bottom tower was Chewed Up, but no real follow-up damage as he did clear the wave with that buckshot pretty easily. But that tower is so low, it is going to die really quickly.
Yeah, and you have, if you want to win a lane Thresh versus Zyra, you have to be very clever about how you hook, when you hook. And you basically have to rely on the enemy not reading your move. I love the arrow, he always does that. Throws the lantern back when there's no one there. Unfortunately, it looks like he got his bluff called there, but iNightmare was there, that's why.
Yeah.
Because even if there was a jungle, they'd have been okay to fight it.
Exactly, that's like the one situation where that fake really isn't that effective as...
They didn't see him this
yeah,
time,
they've now especially seen Lasagna up in topside jungle, so they know he's not there. They know they have the advantage in this bottom lane. The tower is going to fall, and you can see mistakes were made. No, they have to back away from this. Box comes out. iNightmare actually ended up rappelling down and then moving into it, but the turret goes down in favor. Here comes the teleport down into the bottom lane. Dragon's Descent did stop the TP, and now Tick, Trick, and Duck, they're trying to get away. The bomb has come down into the bottom lane as well as iNightmare is starting to get dropped low. Ziggs satchel charges forward. A couple of kills here picked up onto Ziggs would be pretty disastrous. There's the first Stranglethorns was used, but it was the end of his life. And Ziggs goes to 4-0.
So the bottom tower, because of the overextension there, will be traded for the Dragon. That's not the best trade they could have made. Obviously, as a result, Tick, Trick, and Duck will not be particularly happy, but there's still the issue here that Chewed Up individually is quite weak. 0-1 and 2. They're not going to be able to take the tower off this. They won't be able to get that fast enough. And so they're still not in good shape. If when they return to the lane, they have potential issues.
Oh my
He is so
goodness. The hook, I don't know whether it was a predicted flash or what there, but that was...
I think it was.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, that is the mad life there, because you know it was. There's actually a weird thing about Thresh, like the direction he's looking, depending on it, it can be ambiguous as to where the hook is going to go. Some of his directions are really obvious, but if his back is faced to the screen, it's actually harder to see. That one, very difficult to tell where the hook was going, and he guessed that the flash would come out. Got the hook, and obviously the kill, which solves a lot of their problems because they can take the bottom tower very, very low as a result. Although they didn't, actually, so they backed. They're still going to have a hard time finding anywhere to farm.
They got items now onto Chewed Up. He also evened up the farm, and
no worries.
I was nearly with you there on the I was thinking maybe this push into the jungle not.
If they had Omni-Map vision, they probably would have gone for that fight.
Yeah.
But they did because they're not cheating.
Yeah, that would not be good.
It would be bad. It would be the opposite of good. This is a smart reaction, though. Mentioned they have no place to farm. Of course, mistakes were made. That's why they're going for this 4 versus 2 in the bot lane right now. You can see them both. They're roaming down there. They're going to take the bottom tower and make sure that Tick, Trick, and Duck also don't have anywhere to farm.
Oh, there's the Valkyrie used.
Oh, he missed!
Sunny gets pushed back into the wall, but Lasagna gets instantly taken away from this. Bonaparte did manage to pick himself one up, but that is Alchemist now going up to 6-0.
Yeah, that's a bad sign when you're against him, because Ziggs is a team fight monster. He's going to build up a ton of damage, even though the mid tower is going to take damage here. He's Ziggs. He's not going to take that much damage. Interesting that iNightmare is here, and possibly because they've taken so much damage, it's going to be more difficult to take this tower. But I love that roam. That was very smart.
Yeah, it was, and maybe not the cleanest of entries into the lane, but the hook landing onto iNightmare again. Manages to repel out from it, though, and has defended the tower for now. So it was a pretty healthy tower, and Snow is just pretty uncontested here in the middle lane. Oh, turns some damage down onto Lasagna, but flashes out past, and that was a good flash.
Yeah, no mid tower to retreat to, so the chase could have kept on going the entire time if the Q landed. Follow it up with the slow. And then Ziggs gets into range, and you die very, very quickly now. He's built a full Archangel staff, which will make it stack up quicker. And that does mean he is going to be very, very scary when he's got a full Seraph's Embrace. And for now, Snow, he can't really do much about this.
Yeah, there's not really a lot that he can do alone, but with Eye Nightmare there, maybe they can look for something. But Yarrow is there as well. It's a bit of a standoff here in mid, again and again. There's a lot of posturing back and forth, and no team really wants to commit to it.
No, indeed. And we haven't really looked at all at top lane, but at this point, Trundle should be starting to outscale Shyvana in the one-on-one sense. And I think it's starting to happen. If this is allowed to continue, of course Phantom Joe, if their team gets ahead and they start forcing a lot of team fights, will still be extremely relevant. He's going to be better, in fact, than Trundle in a team fight. But Trundle should be able to start applying a lot of split push pressure that will enable a lot of plays, because DX Alchemist as well, with his strength, can defend towers forever.
Yeah, 6 and 0 Ziggs, pretty good at that, I feel. As you know, there's not many champions that are better at pushing lanes back out when they are pushing in towards you. But we're into a slower period, perhaps. Saying that, tower is about to fall. Mistakes were made, we'll take that one down. Sunny's trying to chase on, but doesn't really have the damage right now to do so against the two members of Mistakes Were Made. And Tick, Trick and Duck are behind nearly 3,000 gold. You wonder how are they going to come back into it, because that Ziggs is going to be very difficult to deal with.
So difficult to deal with. We also saw Trundle just go back, pick up a Sunfire Cape. Actually a little bit surprised he didn't wait a little bit longer and pick up a full Blade of the Ruined King. But, see, Bilgewater Cutlass will give him a decent bit of damage. It also gives him the lifesteal. And he should be stronger. I'm actually going to watch this trade now. They're just like whacking each other, but you can see Phantom Joe doesn't want to auto-attack back. He knows he'll lose in a sustained fight. That does mean Instinctive has that little bit of dominance. The thing I don't like about the Sunfire Cape, though, is it means that if he gets stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger than Shyvana in the one-on-one sense, he's not going to be able to siege towers very effectively, because, of course, the Sunfire Cape will proc the aggro. He's alive. Pretty well alive, actually. He's fine.
Yeah, big ultimate use, though, but Snow might be a little bit caught out here. Oh, managed to block the hook, though. Snow darts back into the fight. Shoot up goes very low, did drop the turret aggro, and will survive through it, but that's a 1-for-0 trade so far. Can they push on towards the turret? I feel like it's perhaps a no.
Well, if they land the hook,
perhaps they can, because the follow-up damage is pretty significant. Satchel charge into the wall as well.
Hook's
and Sunny gets shredded down by another bouncing bomb. Stranglethorns will disengage for now. So that is the turret going down, and the chase on from Lasagna didn't quite land it.
Yeah, and that's a serious problem. If they don't 5 versus 4, they won't win the fight, basically, because they're going to be jumping in aggressively onto Ziggs, who will kite back very, very happily and win the fight single-handedly. Meanwhile, in top lane, or not as the case may be, because they're sort of not really in the lane anymore, much as they're just sat behind towers. Instinctive farming behind tower, though, seems a bit counterintuitive, since he was already winning the one-on-one. Phantom Joe's going to be happy to just sit and also farm the minions forever.
That is true, and also very risky.
He's further down.
I mean, they obviously had, you know, the knowledge that they've got a couple of picks, but he was there pretty late, so I don't know. Got away with it though.
Here comes the 3-man though. Trundle's not going to be able to hold that. Ziggs ult though, remember, he should be able to get in range very, very quickly. He's waiting for a blue elixir.
So Tick, Trick and Duck right now are pretty much saying, we are behind, but you've just given us the opportunity to run up to a turret and take it for free.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we're going to take that.
And it wouldn't have been that hard for DX Alchemist to walk out ult the lane and then walk back to the shop. With no minions, they may have still gone for it. They may have still gone for the dive, but it certainly would have given them pause for thought, and the cooldown at this stage is, well, not that long. 90 seconds.
He doesn't have anything like an Athene start. He's gone for that far more later game build. When you look at against AD laners, that's typically what you see a lot in the Ziggs against Zed matchup, is that extra shield. Helps them survive, gives them a little bit of later game, and then you go towards your other itemizations. Pretty much just flat damage from there, so
Yeah.
interesting that he is following that build.
Yeah, I mean, if we look at the actual AP he's getting from the Seraph's Embrace, it's about 40 more than the Athenes, which is then going to be increased by the Rabadon. So it is a stronger late game build, but dependent on keeping your blue buffs up.
Oh, Cocoon onto Instinctive. Does get himself away though, using the Dark Passage, but that may spell the end of this push by mistakes were made here.
Yeah, they're very happy to push up though, and force Tick, Trick, and Duck to commit to that area, because in the meantime, Graves was farming bot. He's going to pick himself up this red buff here. He's just, you know, very happily allowing himself to continue. That wave in the bot should form a slow push.
These hooks are just barely grazing past Tick, Trick, and Duck in this top lane, and if any of them start landing, it's a very difficult situation to be in. Shoot Up is going to go aggressive, going to try and kite back. Last breath from the knockup is enough to get the kill. Flashes forward, flash in response. Snow is
BAM!
Without flash.
Damn! It was a good
Down.
shot.
It was a good shot.
Like a super long range Ziggs ultimate there. I do have to question Shoot Up going for that fight. Like, maybe he thought Yasuo would run away, but Yasuo was never going to run away. There was no way to get away from a red buff Grave, so may as well stand around and fight it. They are potentially going to get another fight.
Oh, Hook after the pillar is going to land Phantom Joe in a lot of trouble, but Alchemist gets dropped pretty low himself, and that means he's relegated now to that backline just to start throwing bombs in. Does not have his ultimate, and it means that they're kind of just forced to not chase any kills and just start pushing out this mid.
Of course, Ziggs, if the game continues on ad infinitum, will proportionally become weaker simply because the kills will, relative to the CS in the game and the global gold, be less important. He's still phenomenally strong. He's now got his Rabadons, so he's really dangerous. But they need to start doing something with it. Obviously, Baron is coming up soon as being a viable objective to take, and they do have the Trundle and the Lee Sin, so they can take it moderately safely. But thus far, they haven't been getting sieges.
Yeah, they really just haven't been sieging as fast as perhaps you would expect them to. But oh, Bonaparte.
This is Mikhail's.
Oh, got him.
Bah!
Nope. Collateral damage over the wall. We'll pick that one up.
Good shot. A lot of good shots today. I really do like seeing that sort of thing happen. Shoot Up, continuing to push out the mid lane now. And of course now, it's 4 versus 5, remember. They've got the advantage, they know they're ahead on goal, they've got the siege potential, they've split the enemy team as well. But if the wave gets cleared too quickly, they could have some troubles capitalizing on it. Sunny does obviously have a lot of AoE.
Oh, Instinctive is actually going to be the one just going in, takes a couple of turret shots, and Phantom Joe maybe looks to re-aggress this, but that is somewhat of a hold already from TTD. They will force mistakes were made back away from the turret and stop their momentum.
No hook landing there from Yero. Rare sight to see, and actually cost him quite a bit. If they'd landed it on Phantom Joe when he jumped in, they could have kept him out there for long enough for them to focus him down. Then they could have kept the siege going, because obviously the threat of the engage is massively decreased. Even though they were starting to get a little bit low on health, they wouldn't have needed to worry. But, of course, the hook did miss, and that does mean, of course, they get to back. TTD are holding quite effectively still.
For now,
All it takes is one slip up though.
yeah, especially against the 7-0 Ziggs. There's a lot of slip-ups that can easily be made as well, is one of the other things. It's so easy for him to land just a massive amount of damage, take somebody away, and then from there, how do you stop this push? That is the question.
No, the moment you lose the wave clear, you're in real trouble. There's nobody super tanky at the moment, obviously. And mistakes were made. I still feel they're not really
Whoa,
okay, that works.
The hook onto Sunny. there goes part of the wave clear you were talking about. And that is going to open Dragon up and potentially even more here in favor of mistakes were made.
Yeah, I still think they should be split pushing more with the trundle that they have, but they're going to be okay with it going as it is right now. Talisman did just get popped, and they're chasing this.
Oh, Nightmare might be caught out as well. Flay didn't quite connect, but they are chasing around the corner. Explosive Minefield will zone away Tick, Trick, and Duck from their turret, and now maybe open up an inhibitor tower, because although all members of Tick, Trick, and Duck are back and alive, it's all down to the fight. Shyvana in for the Dragon's Descent. Oh, the knockup out of Zyre is going to get one. It's chewed up, but he stays alive, and the damage in return is just so good out of mistakes were made. They will take down a double kill so far. That's all 5 members. It's a triple kill for Graves. That is going to be an inhibitor turret going down from the ace.
I hate to be this guy right now, but that was Snow's fault. He didn't last breath. Shyvana flash ulted, hit several people. There was a multi-man last breath, and he just didn't. I love the guy's style, I love the guy, but that's cost them the game. Straight up.
And that is going to put us to game 3. We said we wanted a game 3. We are going to game 3. As, we round out this game. They were very low, but it was just a matter of finishing off the Nexus there. And man, that was a big turnaround for mistakes were made there. And Tick, Trick, and Duck maybe got a little bit caught out there by the Ziggs.
Yeah, he got a long way ahead very early, and from that point, with their composition matchup, it's very difficult for Tick, Trick, and Duck. They had to try and find a team fight, and at the end, like in fairness, they did a very good job of avoiding engages using the Ziggs kite, and Yarrow was finding a ton of picks as well. They tried at the very end, and they would have gotten a team fight that possibly could have gone their way, but in the end, just didn't happen.
Yeah, we are going to be back very quickly with game number 3. I believe the lobby is pretty much set up and ready to go. So we'll be back in just a couple of minutes with game number 3 here for our coverage in the winners bracket final at MCM London.